Chapter 1. My fiancé, Elias, had a childhood sweetheart who was his equal in every way. And me? I was the orphan girl his family took in. My father died saving Elias's grandfather. My mother couldn't take the grief and followed him on the same day. Grandpa Lu, to repay the favor, forced Elias Lu to get engaged to me. After the engagement, my mother-in-law despised me. My sister-in-law made snide remarks, and Elias's childhood sweetheart came by every now and then just to provoke me. On my birthday, Elias went to the movies with her. On the anniversary of my father's death, he went to watch the sunrise with her. Even on the day we registered our marriage, Elias left me behind because she needed something. Later, when she was kidnapped, Elias used me as a bargaining chip to trade for her. In the end, I died on a freezing cold morning. Then I was reborn. My parents were already gone. Grandpa Lu publicly insisted Elias marry me again. But this time, I refused. A life-saving debt? Repay it with money. A man without brains or heart. Let him go back to his childhood sweetheart. September 1977. Seaside outskirts of City A. A man dragged me roughly for several meters. One of my legs was broken. I didn't have the strength to escape. You bitch. Try to fight back again and I'll kill you. He spat, venom in his eyes. I grabbed a branch off the ground and clutched it tightly. Your fancy fiancé who traded you away isn't even half the man I am. I bit down on my lip. He was right. A fiancé who used me to save another woman wasn't even worth as much as a thug. Just wait till I argh. I struck just in time. Dust flew as the branch scraped across his face. He screamed, releasing me. I ran, but with a broken leg. I couldn't go fast. I reached the cliff by the sea when he caught up, now with 2 other men behind him. Keep running, bitch. Let's see how far you can go. They all looked at me with cruel, hungry eyes. I knew I only had 2 options, be defiled and then killed, or end it myself. I didn't hesitate. I jumped into the freezing ocean. Roma! As I fell, I heard Elias's scream, raw and filled with despair. I thought, this must be an illusion before death. Since entering the Lu family 5 years ago, I had always hoped Elias would give me a sliver of attention, just one look, a single word. But in all that time, there had been nothing, even in death. I knew Elias wouldn't care. To him, I was nothing but a blemish on his perfect life. If he had even the slightest regard for me, how could he have demanded I be exchanged for Luna, even after I told him no? I hated Lunarin. She was Elias's childhood sweetheart, always soft-spoken, delicate, playing the gentle damsel, always reminding me that she and Elias were meant to be, even though I was the one engaged to him. But I lived like a thief who had stolen something precious. Everyone disliked me. They all believed only Luna deserved Elias. I was just a lowly nobody. If my father hadn't saved Elias's grandfather, I never would have set foot in the Lu household, let alone become Elias's fiancé. The icy seawater pierced me, numbing every nerve. I felt death, and strangely, it felt freeing. Dead. I wouldn't have to endure their disdain anymore. Dead. Elias Lu would finally be free of me. If there's another life. I hope I never set foot in the Lu family again. Darkness consumed everything. Then came noise, loud, frantic voices. Roma, are you okay? This poor child, her father just passed. And now her mother too. Her father was a hero, but those 2 were so pitiful. What's she going to do now? She's awake, Roma's awake. I stared in shock at the familiar faces. Our neighbors. Roma, your parents are gone. You, Auntie Kim began to comfort me, but ended up crying herself. Suddenly it hit me. I had been reborn again. Reborn to 1972, the day of my parents' funeral. Dad, Mom. Chapter 2. I staggered to my feet and saw my father's memorial portrait hanging in the morning hall, and my mother lying lifeless on the ground. I broke down in tears. The Lu family is here. The old master came in person. As soon as old Master Lu entered, he was met with this heartbreaking scene. I knelt beside my mother, crying my heart out. What happened? Song's wife couldn't take the shock. She just passed too. Poor Roma, an orphan overnight, Auntie Kim said, wiping her tears. Old Master Lu could barely stand. It took him a long while to find his voice again. Roma. You'll come live with Grandpa at the Lu house from now on. Grandpa will take care of you. Elias will marry you. My body stiffened instantly. Elias will marry you. Those few words coiled around my throat like a nightmare. I turned my head with difficulty to look at old Master Lu. No need. I'm not going. Roma. Don't be silly. Auntie Kim grabbed my hand. Your father died because of that old man. They owe it to you to take care of your future. I knew Auntie Kim meant well, but in this life, I would never let myself be entangled with Elias again. Roma. Grandpa means what he says. Old Master Lu spoke solemnly, while Elias, supporting him, cast a detached glance my way. I was in a miserable state, like a fragile reed that could collapse at any moment. Comrade song. Grandpa Lu, if you really want to compensate me, just give me some money and ration coupons. I'm still young, I don't want to get married. I interrupted Elias. In my past life, Elias had promised to marry me at this very morning hall. Back then, I didn't understand what social status meant. I thought that if a good man wanted to marry me, my life would be secure. When I went to the Lu family later, I truly did fall for Elias, tall, handsome. He was my fiancé, my partner for life. I thought he was my future. That loving him was right. Elias hadn't expected that I would ask for money. Not him. Old Master Lu looked at me. Roma, whatever you want, Grandpa will give you. If you don't want to get married, you can still live in Grandpa's home. No, Grandpa Lu, I don't want to live off others. I replied. Living off others, that was the truth of my last 5 years in the Lu family. I didn't want to trap myself in that life again, where anyone could step on me without consequence. Madame Lu's disdain, the younger Lu daughter's disgust, Elias's indifference, all piled onto me like stones. They robbed me of the ability to feel joy. Even if old Master Lu treated me well, so what? What he didn't see was enough to leave me covered in wounds, the cold stares, the sneers, the neglect. All right, good child. If anything happens, you can always come to Grandpa, he said kindly. I'll have someone bring you money and coupons in a few days. I didn't say a word. I just bowed my head and cried silently. Old Master Lu didn't stay long. He wasn't in good health and couldn't stand for too long. Elias took him back home, with the help of some neighbors. I had just finished preparing my mother's funeral when Elias returned. Grandpa sent me to help handle Uncle and Auntie Song's funeral affairs. I wanted to refuse, but what came out was, thank you. In my past life, Elias didn't live up to his promise in front of my parents. In this life, at least he could help see them off properly. Chapter 3. 3 days later, my parents were laid to rest. I went door to door thanking the neighbors for all they had done for me. When I finally returned home, Elias Lu was still there. He had cooked me some porridge. Eat a little. You've barely eaten these past few days. Thank you, Elias. You can go now. I took the porridge and made it clear I was sending him off. What are your plans for the future? Elias didn't leave. He sat across from me. I don't have any for now. Grandpa arranged a job for you at the textile factory. There's an entrance exam in a couple of days. I'll come get you. If you don't pass, I'll buy you a spot, he said. I kept my head down, sipping the porridge in silence. I had already decided on my path. I wasn't staying in a city, and I definitely wasn't going to have anything to do with Elias. These money and ration coupons are from Grandpa. If it's not enough, you can come to me anytime. Elias placed an envelope on the table. Thanks. I needed the money. In this life, I only wanted money. With money, I wasn't afraid of hard work. Life would eventually get better. I'll head out now. Seeing I had no intention of engaging with him, Elias got up, slightly dejected. I walked him to the door, then decisively closed and locked it. Elias instinctively turned around to look at the tightly shut door, feeling a strange sense of loss. He didn't understand why her rejection to marry him left such an empty feeling in his chest. He didn't know why he had taken leave to help her handle her parents' funeral. The job at the textile factory, he had wanted to arrange it for her. But seemed like I truly didn't want it. Elias consoled himself. Maybe it was just the grief of losing her parents. Time would heal it all. I didn't know what Elias was thinking. After finishing the rest of the porridge, I went to Auntie Kim's house next door. Auntie, Roma, what are you doing out? You should be resting at home, she said, looking at me with concern. Auntie, I have something to ask you and Uncle. Go ahead, she responded immediately. We were neighbors. They'd watched me grow up. Now that I was all alone, of course they'd want to help. I want to rent out my house, I said. If you rent it out, where will you live? She asked. I've graduated high school. I want to respond to the national call and go to the countryside to help build rural communities, I said seriously. Going to the countryside would let me get far away from Elias. The countryside? Roma, don't act on impulse. I've heard lots of people are pulling strings just to avoid being sent there. Your situation is special. You don't have to go, she said, anxiously trying to talk me out of it. Auntie, I just want a change of environment, I said quietly. With that, her voice caught in her throat. Losing both parents at once, the blow was just too heavy. Sigh. Roma, I'll ask around for you. Please be quick. Auntie Kim, my uncle and my dad's older brother, once they know my parents are gone, they'll come and try to take everything. Renting the house out early will shut down any ideas they might have, I said. In my past life, a week after my parents died, my uncle and great-uncle came barging in, trying to evict me and claim the house. It was Elias who stood up for me. Back then, he stood in front of me and said, she's not an orphan. She has the Lu family. She has me, Elias, protecting her. My eyes stung. It was just a statement suited for the moment, but I had foolishly heard it as a promise. In the end, it was just wishful thinking. I ended up the punchline of my own tragedy. Chapter 4. After returning home, I started packing. I sorted everything I could use in the countryside, trying to keep it as light as possible. Then I found my parents' savings stash, 100 yuan in cash and a dozen or so ration coupons. The Lu family had given me 300 yuan and about 30 various coupons. I took out the nationwide coupons and sealed them along with some money into the inside pocket of my underclothes, those I'd carry on me at all times. I kept a few yuan as pocket money and gathered all the local coupons. The ones I could use, I'd spend. The rest I'd sell or give away. Nothing could be wasted. I didn't know if I would ever return to a city again. By the time I was done, it was already dark. I collapsed onto my bed and fell asleep immediately. The next morning, I brought my household registration book and my parents' death certificates and had the house officially transferred to my name. After handling the paperwork, I went to the youth relocation office. Not many were willing to volunteer for the countryside these days. I ended up selecting Province B as my destination. I'd leave the day after tomorrow, 10 a.m. train. The staff told me that although winters were cold there, the area was rich in natural resources and the people were simple and kind. I wouldn't go hungry. After thanking them, I stopped by the cooperativa to stock up on essential items before heading home. What I didn't expect was to run into Elias and Luna at my doorstep. My expression turned cold. I had always disliked Luna. Luna was standing there, clinging sweetly to Elias. Elias, my feet are sore from standing. I told you not to come, but you insisted. Elias replied with a helpless tone, but there was unmistakable affection in it. I gave a bitter smile in my heart. In my past life, how blind was I to keep lying to myself, telling myself Luna Rin had unrequited feelings? Clearly, it was mutual. Roma, where did you go? Elias walked up to me right away when he saw me. Out shopping. Is something wrong? I asked. I had no intention of letting either of them into my home. I came to tell you, the textile factory entrance exam is scheduled for the day after tomorrow at 9 a.m., Elias said. Luna also approached, giving me a once-over. She was indeed a beautiful woman. Elias, aren't you going to introduce us? Luna said sweetly, clutching Elias's arm like a little girl. Roma, I'm not interested in meeting your girlfriend. Elias, I know about the exam. I'll think about it. Thank you. I interrupted him. Luna smiled in satisfaction when I called her Elias's girlfriend. Elias quickly tried to explain. Also, my father saved Grandpa Lu. You've paid me money. That makes us even. There's no need for you to keep checking in on me. With that, I shut the courtyard gate. Geez, what's with her? Elias, you came with good intentions. How could she be so ungrateful? Maybe I've disturbed her life, Elias muttered, feeling strangely hollow. His pride wouldn't allow him to visit me again after being turned away like that. Let's go. Luna pouted and followed Elias. Peace at last. I looked into the mirror at my young and vibrant reflection, feeling calm. How wonderful to have an entire lifetime ahead of me. No more practicing the same dish over and over because of a single comment from Madame Lu. No more falling severely ill from being locked out in the cold just because the Lu daughter disliked me. And no more spiraling into self-doubt, again and again, because of Elias's indifference. Chapter 5. The next day, Auntie Kim came over with the tenants. They were a young married couple who worked at a nearby factory. Renting the house to them felt safe. They had jobs. They were decent people, clearly the type to live steadily and earnestly. They wouldn't try to seize the house for themselves in the future. Auntie Kim had been careful choosing tenants. After talking with them, I found them agreeable. We drafted the agreement and both sides signed. I'd stay in the house until I left for the countryside, and they paid a year's rent up front. Auntie Kim would collect the rent from then on and forward it to me, with everything arranged. I suddenly had free time. I lay on the bed, dazing out. Later, I went out to buy groceries, wanting to make myself one good meal before leaving. Just as I got to the cooperativa, I ran into Elias. I never realized we were so fated to meet. Do I hate him? I can't say for sure, but after being reborn, I hadn't felt the desire to get revenge on Elias. I think disillusioned is a better word. Elias strode over to me. Every time I looked at him with that cold, indifferent gaze, it felt like needles pricking deep into his chest. Elias didn't believe in love at first sight, but somehow, he felt like he had fallen for me at first sight. He wanted to see me, yet felt it would hurt his pride to be too forward. I looked up. Do you need something, Comrade Lu? No. I just came to buy some things. What are you looking for? I can help carry them back. No need. I'm just browsing. I turned and walked away. Ugh. Running into Elias killed my appetite completely. Elias had no idea why I seemed to dislike him so much. It left him incredibly frustrated. He lost interest in shopping and headed home, a bit dejected. That evening, he barely touched dinner and went to bed early. That night, he had a long, vivid dream. In the dream, I agreed to marry him. After the funeral, I was brought into the Lu household. I lived there for 5 years. Elias knew his mother didn't like me, and that his little sister couldn't stand me either. But he thought, if I just endured it for a while, it would pass. He was already working hard. Once his career stabilized, we could move out and live on our own. He believed that for his sake, I'd be willing to suffer a bit. Then one day, Luna Rin was kidnapped by Elias's enemies. The Rin and Lu families had a long history. Luna's grandfather was critically ill. He couldn't take any shock. The kidnappers were people Elias had offended unintentionally. They demanded he exchange his fiancé for Luna. At the time, Elias thought he'd already coordinated everything with the police and the army. He was confident he could save me, but he never imagined that, after the exchange, they'd break my legs. Elias regretted it instantly. Hearing my screams shattered his heart. He chased the kidnappers with everything he had. But by the time they caught up, I had already jumped off the cliff. Without hesitation, the next time he saw me, I was a lifeless corpse. Elias's heart twisted in agony. He regretted it so bitterly. He wished he could die. He was the one who had personally pushed me to my death. He swore, if there was a next life, he would make it up to me. He would love me with all his heart. Roma! Elias jolted awake, hands trembling as he reached for his watch. 8:30. He rushed to get dressed and bolted out the door. Racing to the textile factory, he needed to see me. He had to tell me he loved me. But when he got there, he realized I hadn't shown up for the exam. Panic-stricken, he ran to my house, only to see Auntie Kim helping a young couple move in. Auntie, where's Roma? Elias asked, breathless. Oh, Roma? She signed up to go to the countryside. Chapter 6. The train was at 10 this morning. I really wanted to see her off, Auntie Kim said, a little regretfully. But just then the tenants arrived, so I couldn't go. Elias turned and ran toward the train station. He arrived at 9:30. The train had just pulled in. I stood on the platform with a small backpack on my shoulders, and 2 large luggage bags by my feet. Elias strode up to me and gripped my shoulders tightly. Roma, don't go. Let's get married, right now. Let's get married. In my previous life, I waited 5 years for him, and still, marriage never came. Elias didn't want me to wait again. I looked at him, and after a moment, said quietly, "So, you came back too." Elias's hands trembled. Roma, you mean? Let go of me. People are watching. I pushed him off. He staggered back a step. Roma, I can explain. That day. No need. I cut him off. I don't want to know. Comrade Lu, there was never much between us to begin with. No matter how many reasons you give, the dead don't come back. The word stabbed deep into Elias's heart. Like a blade, his eyes reddened with emotion. I'm sorry. Roma, I'm so sorry. Don't go. Let me make it up to you. Please. Elias's voice trembled. He was terrified of losing me again. He still remembered what it felt like to hold my cold, lifeless body. That bottomless despair. The pain so raw it robbed him of breath. He never wanted to feel that again. Elias, I said calmly, I don't need your compensation. My voice was flat, my gaze distant, as if I were looking at a stranger. There was no hatred, and certainly no love. Just a dull, emotionless quiet, as though we'd never shared any past. Roma, give me a chance. I'm begging you. Elias, desperate, reached for me. I stepped back, picking up my luggage. Go find your childhood sweetheart. For her, you were willing to sacrifice anyone. If that's not love, what is? I said. Elias, stop lying to yourself. Stop getting involved with people you have no business touching. With that, I turned and walked toward the platform entrance. Roma, I like you. Elias called out and lunged forward, but was suddenly grabbed by someone. Elias, it really is you. Luna cried in surprise when she saw the tears on his face. She gasped. Elias, always elegant, always composed, was crying. Why was he crying? Let me go. Elias snapped, shoving Luna so hard that she fell straight to the ground. Elias, that hurts. Luna cried out in pain, but Elias didn't even look back. He strode deeper into the station, but by then, he couldn't find me anymore. Roma, Roma, don't go. Elias shouted. He didn't care what others thought. He pushed through the crowd as fast as he could. He had to stop me. He knew, if I left now, I would never return. Behind him, Luna staggered to her feet, just in time to hear Elias calling out my name. That anxious, frantic look on his face, she had never seen it before. Elias had already climbed onto the train. It was packed. He searched through 2 full cars, but the train was about to depart. He had no choice but to get off. Elias stood alone on the platform, watching as the train slowly pulled away. I stood at the window of a sleeper car. Our eyes met. One was filled with unbearable pain, the other, calm, unshaken, like the passing clouds. Chapter 7. 2 days later, I arrived in Province B. It was September, while the city was still sweltering with heat. The air here was cool and crisp. I took a deep breath. Everything here was unfamiliar, but my heart brimmed with hope. Red Star Village volunteers, gather over here. A broad-shouldered man shouted to the crowd. I picked up my 2 large bags and walked over. Uncle, I'm from a city, I said, lifting my head. I had a typically delicate build, petite, with a soft smile, and standing in front of such a burly man, I looked even more fragile. He was caught off guard when I called him uncle, blinking in surprise before responding. "Aw, hello! Let me carry your luggage." Without another word, he grabbed both of my bags, one in each hand, and effortlessly tossed them onto the ox cart. "Thank you, uncle." I felt lucky to have met such a kind man right off the train. His lips twitched, and after a pause, all he said was, "Get on, sit there." He pointed to a little spot on the cart he had cleared with my luggage. I didn't mind at all and scrambled up to sit. The man watched my clumsy movements without a word, then went on organizing the rest of the newcomers heading for the countryside. Before long, the cart was full. There were 10 volunteers heading to Red Star Village, from all across the country. I introduced myself to the others and quietly listened to their conversations. In my previous life, after graduating high school, I never had the chance to spend time with people my own age. Lou's younger sister had been much younger than me, and Elias was several years older. The rest of the people in my life were elders. I had spent 5 years busy, occupied with survival. Now, I didn't really know how to socialize anymore, so I just smiled politely and listened. There was a girl named Ava from E-City. She was lively, funny, and warm, making everyone laugh with ease. Although not everyone had volunteered willingly, most felt lucky to be assigned to Province B. It was said to be a land of plenty, with kind-hearted locals. They didn't bully young volunteers, especially those who were just kids. The ox cart wobbled and rattled its way into Red Star Village. The village team leader and some of the older volunteers were already at the youth station waiting to greet us. We all started getting down from the cart. Since I got on early, I was near the front and ready to hop off, when the cart driver quietly leaned in. It's crowded at the youth station. Granny Lou's courtyard in the village is available for rent. You can tell the team leader you want to stay outside. He'll help you arrange it. Then, without waiting for a response, he grabbed my luggage again, setting it carefully by my feet. Welcome to Red Star Village. The team leader began, addressing us all. He gave a simple speech, talking about how the country's future depended on us, how we should work hard and shine bright. I listened attentively. The other volunteers were all older than me, and all of them, except me, were from the north. Next to them, I really did look like a child. After the speech, the older volunteers started leading everyone inside. I obediently raised my voice to call out, "Uncle," I said. The team leader finally noticed me. How come there's such a little one in the group? Your parents really let you come to the countryside? One sentence, and my eyes filled with tears. Uncle, my parents passed away last month. I didn't even know why I cried. I had already come to terms with their death. But the way he spoke to me, with such elder-like concern, touched something deep inside, and I couldn't help it anymore. The tears just came. Chapter 8. Don't cry, child. You're home now. The team leader's wife stepped forward and wrapped me into a warm embrace. She was Rita Sue, the Women's Affairs Director of Red Star Village. From now on, just call me Auntie. If you ever need anything, I'll take care of it for you, she said, patting my back with heartfelt tenderness. I quickly wiped away my tears. I'm sorry, Auntie. I lost control of my emotions just now, I said, a little embarrassed. Oh, what's there to be sorry about? You're still a kid, she said, instantly taking a liking to me. Rita Sue had no daughters of her own. I'm not that young, I'm already 18, I said, blushing a bit. 18 is still a child, she said, her voice full of affection. Uncle, Auntie, I continued softly. I heard the youth station is a bit crowded. I've never lived in a dorm with so many people. I was wondering if I could rent a room outside the compound. Auntie, would you help me find a place? I have money. Sure, said Rita at once. Old man, isn't Auntie Lou living alone? Let this girl stay with her, it'll be good for both of them. All right, come on, I'll take you over, the team leader replied. He still felt bad about making me cry earlier with just one sentence. Granny Lou was childless and lived alone in a courtyard. She was spry and kept everything tidy, but she was already too old to work in the fields. She lived on her savings and the grain quota allocated per person. The extra room next door to Granny Lou had actually been cleaned up by Rita and some others. The plan was to let any youth volunteer who wanted to rent privately stay with her first. It gave the old woman an extra income. And in case of emergencies, at least someone would be around to call for help. Thank you, Uncle. Thank you, Auntie, I said sweetly. What a polite girl, Rita said with a big, hearty laugh. The more she looked at me, the more she liked me. I smiled and reached down for my luggage. It's way too heavy for you to carry alone. Rita was just about to call for the team leader to help when the ox cart driver walked over. Joel, help Roma with her luggage. Will you? She called out. Sure thing, Auntie, replied Joel, as he stepped forward and lifted both bags with ease. Thank you, Uncle, I said sweetly. I really was grateful to Joel. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have even thought of trying to live outside the youth station. Uncle? Rita Sue and the team leader both burst into laughter at my choice of words. I looked at them, blinking my wide eyes in confusion. Like, what did I do? Why are you laughing? Rita laughed even harder. And after a moment, she took my hand. Sweetheart, Joel's only 22. Just call him Big Brother. My cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Sorry, Big Brother. Joel scratched his head, looking a little sheepish. He'd just gotten back from a hunting trip in the mountains. His beard was scruffy and his hair a mess. Okay, maybe he did look a little older than he was. Still, that uncle caught him off guard too. No problem. No problem. Let's go, he said, leading the way. Rita held my hand and followed, while the team leader walked behind us with his hands behind his back. We walked for more than 10 minutes until we reached a courtyard at the eastern edge of the village. The outer walls were made of woven branches, and the gate was a little worn. But inside, rows of cabbages and radishes stood tall and straight in perfect lines. Chapter 9. Lou, Auntie, Rita called out as soon as we stepped into the courtyard. Not long after, the door creaked open and an elderly woman with a slightly stooped back stepped out. "Aw, Rita, you're here. Auntie, this girl's name is Roma Song. She's a new volunteer who just arrived today. She wanted to rent a room outside the youth compound. I thought she seemed like a good kid, so I brought her here," Rita said cheerfully, gently pulling me forward. "Hello, Granny Lou," I said softly. I was a southern girl, and my voice carried the kind of gentle, melodic tone that stood in contrast to the bold, hearty style of northern women. Granny Lou took a liking to me immediately. Good. Come on in. I could use some company anyway. I nodded. "Granny Lou, how much should I pay you for rent?" "Just half a jean of coarse grain," she replied after thinking for a moment. Rita laughed beside me. "Sweetie, that's just symbolic. Auntie Lou's not really charging you." "Thank you, Granny Lou." By then, Joel had already carried my luggage into the empty room. "Thank you, Big Brother," I said, the words flowing more naturally now. Joel flushed red, mumbled a quick "don't mention it," and after bidding everyone goodbye, headed back to his own courtyard next door. "Girl, Joel's right next door. If anything happens, just shout, he'll hear you," Rita reminded me again. She and the team leader still had work to do, so they didn't stay long. I went inside with Granny Lou. "Roma, go ahead and unpack. In a bit, I'll boil an egg for you," Granny Lou said as she headed toward the kitchen. In these times, eggs were precious. "Granny, please don't go through the trouble. I'm not hungry. I brought food with me. Why don't you rest for a while? Once I finish unpacking, I'll make dinner. You can try my cooking," I said, stopping her firmly. Seeing how insistent I was, she didn't argue and went back to her room. She figured I was just a kid and probably didn't know how to do anything. But to her surprise, I worked quickly and neatly. I set up my bedding, folded all my clothes with sharp corners, swept the floor, and even sprinkled a little water to keep the dust down. Efficient and capable, I was the kind of girl who left a good impression at a glance. Granny Lou nodded to herself. Rita's judgment is solid, she thought. This one's way better than those other city youths who wanted to live here before. After settling in, I decided to take a bath. I wasn't shy about it. I knew that in Province B, people didn't like vague or overly delicate types. So I went straight to Granny Lou and asked openly, "Granny, I want to take a bath. Where can I wash up?" Granny Lou was a tidy person herself. She often washed in the summer and had set up a little makeshift shelter for bathing. "Come, I'll show you, but you'll need to bring your own hot water." "Thank you, Granny. I'll use your firewood today, but tomorrow I'll go up the mountain and gather some to replace it," I promised. Granny Lou nodded in approval. I was straightforward and clear with my intentions, exactly how things should be done. I bathed quickly, and with time to spare before dinner, I lay down on the bed for a bit. After 2 days of train travel, it felt good to finally rest. I meant to nap only briefly, but I ended up falling sound asleep. When I woke up, dinner was already on the table. Joel had come over and cooked the meal. He usually ate dinner with Granny Lou. "Granny, Big Brother, I'm so sorry. I overslept," I said, a bit embarrassed. "Oh, don't worry about that. You must have been exhausted after such a long train ride," Granny Lou said, not the least bit bothered. She waved me over to sit. On the table was a meal of mixed grains, a bowl of stir-fried cabbage and potatoes, and a large plate of stewed chicken with mushrooms. I swallowed hard. In this era, food, especially meat and fine grains, was precious. I couldn't just eat off others like this. I'd like to pay for meals, I said earnestly. Chapter 10. Granny Lu glanced at Joel. The pheasant had been caught by him. She couldn't make decisions about it herself. If you're staying here and want to share meals with us, Joel said, just help Granny around the house, tidy up, wash her clothes, and, mine too. That'll cover your meals. That's not right, I said anxiously. Doing just that little bit and getting to eat? Wouldn't that be mooching? I eat a lot. You know. Granny Lu chuckled at my earnest expression. Joel also smiled. It's fine if you really feel bad. Just throw your grain rations in with ours and we'll all eat together. All right. I nodded firmly. I had already made up my mind not to take advantage of anyone. Besides the rations from the village, I could also buy my own. I had brought plenty of money and ration coupons with me. Then, can we eat now? Joel asked with a grin. Blushing, I lowered my head and started eating. I finished half a bowl of rice, had 2 pieces of meat, and some greens. I was full. Joel blinked. This is eating a lot? She's still growing. How's she gonna grow tall like this? Joel silently decided, tomorrow. He was going hunting again. After dinner, I insisted on washing the dishes and cleaning the kitchen. I was quick, efficient, and organized, though Granny Lu and Joel usually did the chores themselves. It was clear my cleaning was on another level. Roma, I picked up your grain ration from the team, Joel said. Each new volunteer gets 20 gene of coarse grain. Okay. Thank you, big brother, I replied sweetly, my tone soft and obedient. Calling him big brother now came naturally, so much easier than that awkward uncle from before. The team leader said you new volunteers get 1 day off. You'll start working the day after tomorrow, Joel continued. I nodded, listening quietly, and in that moment, I realized how nice all of this was. Meeting new people, doing new things. It all felt fresh. The past, the pain, the bitterness, it was like a distant haze now. I was me, no longer Elias's fiancé, no longer the barefoot girl trying to climb beyond her station. What are you smiling about? Joel asked, seeing the warmth in my expression, my cheeks tinged with pink. Just remembering the past, I said with a soft laugh. Big brother, I'm going to bed. All right, go ahead. I'll head back too. Make sure you lock the door. If anything happens, just shout. He reminded me. Okay. I fastened the latch, gave a quick glance. Granny Lu had already gone to bed. I returned to my own room, and that night, I had the most peaceful sleep I'd had in years. For the first time, everything felt light, and the feeling of having control over my own life was nothing short of amazing. The next morning, I got up early. I went straight to the kitchen and made breakfast, a light porridge with greens and some cornmeal pancakes. I walked a small loop around the courtyard and pulled up a radish, slicing it thin and making a quick side dish. By the time Joel arrived, breakfast was already done and on the table. You're up early? I went to bed early yesterday, I replied with a smile. Back in the Lu household, I used to get up even earlier, because I had to make breakfast for the whole family, and they still found fault with everything I did. You've got good hands, Joel said sincerely. Smells great. My eyes lit up like stars. Thank you. No one's ever said my cooking was good before. 5 years of meals cooked for the Lu family, and not a single kind word. Only complaints. Yet here was someone I'd just met, offering genuine praise. When Granny gets up, she'll praise you too, Joel added. He didn't know why, but looking at me right then, bright-eyed and hopeful, his chest tightened with a strange, quiet ache. There was something about me that made him feel sorry. Chapter 11. And just like that, I settled into life in Red Star Village. During the rest day, I followed Joel up the mountain to gather firewood. At first, Joel thought I was a delicate, soft little girl, but when he saw me working with my hands scraped raw and not a single word of complaint, efficient and focused, he couldn't help but think, why does she look so strong, and yet so pitiful? In the end, Joel couldn't stand watching anymore and told me to go pick mushrooms, wood ear fungus, and wild fruits instead. He would handle the firewood, after all. His skin was thick and tough, I knew he meant well. I wasn't the type to be overly proud or dramatic. He helped me with firewood, so I did what I could in return. Our one day of rest flew by quickly. The next day, I began working in the fields with the others. As new volunteers, we were assigned simpler tasks: husking corn. We sat surrounded by piles of corn, peeling back the dry husks one by one. I had come prepared. I'd brought gloves from a city, knowing they'd protect my hands as much as possible during the work. Roma, wow, you even thought to bring gloves? I didn't even think of that. Ava groaned, staring miserably at her sore hands. The idea of living this kind of life every day made her slump like a wilted leaf. I have another pair. I'll bring them this afternoon and lend them to you, I said gently. Really? You're the best. Ava's eyes lit up, though moments later, the thought of sore hands even with gloves brought the gloom right back. Roma, do you think we'll ever get the chance to return to the city? I paused my work for a second. I don't know, but whether we go back or not, we still have to live each day well. Joel had just come by to drop off more corn. Hearing my words, he froze slightly. She's just a young girl. Why does she sound so old and wise? Ava sighed. You're right. Whether or not the road ahead is lined with flowers, right now, we've got a mountain of corn. She made me laugh. Lately, I laughed often, even when there wasn't a clear reason. I kept a smile on my face. In my past life, during those 5 long years, even smiling would get me scolded. Now, I cherished every moment I could smile. After a full day of work, everyone returned home with aching backs. When I got home, Granny Lou had already heated water for me. Go wash up. Dinner's ready after that, she said warmly. There was a touch of pity in her eyes. That day, Rita had come by and told her that my parents had passed away a month ago. Granny Lou had no real family left, just greedy relatives who wanted to bleed her dry. Only Joel cared for her sincerely. Since he returned from the mountains, he came to see her every day. But he, too, would have to leave one day. After bathing and changing into clean clothes, I stepped out just as Joel arrived. He had washed up at his place and shaved, revealing a strikingly handsome face. I was stunned for a second before recognizing him. Joel? Joel's lips curled in a subtle smile, secretly pleased. See? I knew it. I don't look old enough to be called uncle. The days passed steadily, one after another. Of all the new volunteers, I adapted to farm life the fastest. My once soft hands had already formed a layer of calluses. No matter what task I was assigned, I never complained. I gave everything my best effort. The team leader and Rita praised me often. Before we knew it, the autumn harvest was over. With the busy season finished, the team had less to do, and everyone began preparing for the coming winter. Chapter 12. It was my first time spending a winter in Province B. All I knew was, it was cold. Roma, your blankets, padded clothes, pants, and shoes all need to be thick, Granny Lou said gently as she pulled me into her room. Seeing I was overwhelmed, she went over everything with me, detail by detail. I wrote it all down. If I didn't know something, I listened to my elders. Joel arrived just in time to see me taking notes diligently with a pen and notebook. Looks like Granny's become a teacher, Joel said with a chuckle. Granny Lou laughed. That's right. I'm teaching this southern girl how to survive a northern winter. I smiled, too. I'll go to the cooperativa tomorrow to buy all this. I'll go with you. You probably wouldn't know what to buy, and I don't want you to get tricked, Joel said. Thanks, Brother Joel. I smiled sweetly. Joel was finding it harder and harder not to look at me with fondness. His feelings? Granny Lou had already noticed them, and not just her. Rita and the team leader had seen them too. If it were any other volunteer girl, maybe someone would have cautioned him. But me? Everyone liked me. I was well-behaved and widely respected. In fact, they were quietly trying to set us up. Unfortunately, I had no interest in romance. I treated everyone as elders or older siblings. That uncle I once called him? Not for nothing. The next morning, I got myself ready. I wore thick clothes and gloves. It was already cold enough to sting the hands. Joel arrived with his bicycle. There's no frost yet, so it's still safe to bike. The weather's not too bad now. But in a month, going out will be tough. Write down what you need if the cooperativa doesn't have it. I'll take you somewhere else. Got it, I replied cheerfully. Mainly I want to buy enough grain. There's 3 of us, we have to stock up. I saw Granny's already got potatoes, pickled cabbage, Napa cabbage, green onions, and radishes. There aren't many veggies in winter, right? Not really, Joel replied. I want to buy soybeans to sprout, and I want a big wooden tub to grow some greens indoors. I said. I was really good at sprouting soybeans, never wasted a single one. Back in a city, I loved growing vegetables, though the weather there wasn't like the north. Still, I figured with the stove inside the house, the temperature should work. All right, I'll take you to buy all that, and I'll make you a big wooden tub, or maybe a rack, so you can grow even more, Joel offered. He really enjoyed talking to me. I was the kind of girl who loved life. Anything I touched could turn into something beautiful. We chatted as we arrived at the town cooperativa. Food was relatively easy to get in Province B, and prices weren't too bad. Since I had money and ration coupons, I bought 100 jean of coarse grain, 20 jean of white flour, and 20 jean of rice. I spent without hesitation, way too bold for someone my size. Joel tied the grain sacks to the back of the bike. I looked at him, frowning. Where am I supposed to sit, brother Joel? 2 choices. Joel grinned. You run alongside, or you sit in front. We had bought too much, there was no other way. Of course I'll run, if you haul me back on the front like that. No girl's ever gonna want to marry you, I said, throwing up my hands dramatically. Joel's smile dimmed just a little. Chapter 13. I looked at the grain sacks hanging off the bicycle and realized there really wasn't room for anything else. Let's just buy this much for today. Do you have time tomorrow? Yeah. I'm free, no work scheduled. I've got nothing going on, Joel said. All right. Then we'll come back tomorrow for the rest. Let's go, brother Joel, you ride the bike, and I'll jog along beside you. I even stretched my legs out seriously, ready to run. Joel was speechless, completely. You little tigress. I'll just push the bike and we'll walk back. I didn't quite get why Joel called me a tigress. I thought I was being pretty clever. Whatever. I didn't think too much about it. I knew Joel didn't have bad intentions, so we walked back together, chatting as we went. Sometimes one line from Joel could make me laugh for minutes. I laughed brightly, like a blooming flower. To Joel, I was like a sunflower when I laughed. He felt warmth in his chest. Just as we reached the village entrance, we saw a tall, slender man standing there. He had heard my laughter from afar and came striding forward, only to spot Joel. Joel's gaze toward me was so gentle, anyone could tell how fond he was of me. Roma. The smile vanished from my face the moment I saw Elias. I looked at him coldly. What do you want? Roma. I found you a job in a city. Come back with me. He walked up to me and reached out to grab my hand. I quickly dodged behind Joel. Joel held the bicycle with one hand and used the other to slap Elias's hand away without hesitation. What's your problem? Touching a girl like that, are you looking for a beating? He snapped, his voice cold. Elias, raised in a city in a wealthy, respected family, even through years of chaos, had never been spoken to like that. He flushed red with rage as he stared at Joel. A few village boys nearby noticed Joel's gesture and quickly came over. Oh, you think you can bully people in our village now? Look at him, skinny like a boiled chicken. Joel could knock him out with one slap. I was pretty angry, but that boiled chicken line? That hit my funny bone. I couldn't help it, I burst out laughing. Everyone around knew Joel to me, and when they saw me laughing behind him, they all chuckled too. Hey, comrade song. Joel's palm is huge. One good smack, and you're out cold. Wanna try? Yeah, let's see if you dare. Look at those twig arms and legs. Careful he doesn't die from one hit. Easy now, Joel. Don't hit too hard. My heavy, gloomy mood lifted all of a sudden. I looked up at the man shielding me, tall, solid, completely blocking the way. I couldn't see anything. Not Elias. Not even the wind in front of me. In the 5 years of my past life, whenever I was bullied, Elias never once stood up for me. I remembered once, I forgot to wash Lou's little sister's dress. She poured a bucket of cold water over me. And what did Elias do? He pulled Luna aside. Right, that day Luna wore a lovely dress. Elias must have been worried it would get dirty. Didn't want his precious woman upset. As for me, whether I was hurt, humiliated, or sick, none of it mattered. And suddenly I wondered, if it had been Joel, what would he have done? Chapter 14. Elias was so furious at the village boys' taunts that for a while, he couldn't even speak. But the worst part? He couldn't even see me. In a city, his height made him stand out, but in Red Star Village, it meant nothing. Joel was a full head taller, and he was shielding me completely. Roma, we need to talk. Tell them to get out of the way, Elias shouted. Elias, I have nothing to say to you. I didn't want to argue. As a girl, my reputation was important. Roma said she doesn't want to talk to you. What? You need us to throw you out ourselves? Joel's tone was ice cold. To Joel, I was the gentlest, most kind-hearted person around. I never argued with anyone in the village, even when other volunteers did less work. I picked up the slack without a word. At Granny Lou's place, I took special care, making her softer food than what I ate myself. When she had a cough the other day, I'd gone up the mountain to pick wild pears to make pear tea. If someone like me hated someone, that person must be truly unbearable. I'm Roma's fiancé. I've come to take her back so we can get married, Elias yelled, completely losing it. My body froze. My eyes widened in disbelief. We're getting married. Will you move aside already? He shouted, reaching to push Joel. Joel paused and looked back at me. I grabbed Joel's arm, stepped forward, and slapped Elias hard across the face. I was shaking with rage, my eyes red, my voice trembling. Elias, are you insane? My father died saving your grandfather. My mother followed him in grief. When your grandfather said you should marry me, I refused. There were witnesses. I said all I wanted was money. I wouldn't marry you. Your grandfather agreed. So why are you pretending to be some noble, tragic lover now? You know how you treated me? When your mother, your sister, and your precious Luna bullied me, you looked the other way. And when you traded me to kidnappers to save Luna, what were you thinking? They broke my leg. I was forced to jump into the sea. How do you even have the nerve to come here and say you're my fiancé? That we should get married? I'd rather die than marry you. You're disgusting. By the time I finished, tears were spilling down my face. I remembered the fear of being kidnapped, the searing pain of my broken leg, the icy seawater, the choking, suffocating helplessness. It was like death had wrapped its arms around me. I hated him. I had finally started to find peace. I worked so hard every day to live happily, to forget the past. Why? What did I ever owe Elias? Joel stood there, stunned, as he listened to me cry out. He never could have imagined I'd gone through all of that. Mother of... Joel swore loudly, then lunged at Elias and started beating him, punch after punch, each one heavier than the last. Roma, I messed up. Please, come back with me. I'll make it right. Ah. Elias howled, screaming between blows. Eventually, a few village guys had to rush in and pull Joel off, not because they pitied Elias, but because if they didn't stop it, Joel might have killed him. Chapter 15. Joel, stop. If you keep going, you're going to kill him. Yeah, Joel, he's not worth it. Don't ruin your future over trash like him. Look at Roma. Joel turned around. I was crouched down, sobbing so hard I couldn't catch my breath. I was completely overwhelmed, and I just couldn't stop crying. Joel, still fuming, gave Elias one last kick, wishing he could shatter his legs. Roma, don't cry. Come on, let's go home. Joel gently picked me up with one arm and set me on the crossbar of his bike. Then he got on and rode off. Elias curled on the ground, body trembling from the pain. He looked in the direction I'd gone, eyes foggy. He couldn't see me clearly anymore, only Joel's broad back fading into the distance. Joel took me straight to his house. He knew if I showed up like this at Granny Lou's, she'd be worried sick. I kept crying. The memories I had spent 5 years trying to bury suddenly exploded like weeds, wild and suffocating. I was completely consumed by grief. Back then, I wasn't even allowed to cry. They called me dramatic, overly sensitive, unlucky, just for being an orphan. But my parents died because of the Lu family. Why did I have to carry that guilt? Joel scrambled to comfort me. He said all kinds of things, fumbling through his words, but I couldn't hear him. I was trapped in my own world. All I could do was cry. Eventually, Joel gave up on trying to speak. He just sat beside me and stayed. I don't know how long I cried. Eventually, I curled up on the heated bed and fell asleep. Joel sighed, heart aching. How could anyone treat a girl so gentle like this? And Elias just stood by. What a bastard. Joel felt like his chest was about to explode with anger. I sniffled a few times in my sleep. Joel sighed again, dampened a towel with warm water, and gently wiped my face. I was so deep in sleep. I didn't even stir. Joel pulled his own blanket over me, then stepped outside. It wasn't proper for a man and a woman to be alone in the same room. If someone saw, it could start rumors. He was just about to find a village auntie to come stay with me when he spotted Rita walking over. Joel, what happened? Oscar told me someone tried to take Roma away, and that he hurt her in the past? Her tone was harsh. She was protective of me, too. Joel glanced at the window, then lowered his voice and told her everything I'd said. That's not a man, that's trash. He handed a girl over to kidnappers? Is that bastard still around? I'll give him a piece of my mind. Rita rolled up her sleeves, ready to fight. Auntie, I think he left. Come in and sit down. I can't go back inside. Joel said. Oh, now you remember it's improper? You brought her into your house and now you suddenly grow a conscience? You dummy. Rita Sue gave Joel a light slap on the head. Joel scratched awkwardly. I just didn't want Granny Lou to get upset. Rita gave him a death glare, and he shut up immediately. She walked into the house. I wasn't sleeping peacefully. My brows were furrowed even in my dreams. Rita's heart ached just looking at me. Such a pitiful child. Parents gone, and all that pain on top of it. She sighed deeply. Chapter 16. I'd been asleep for a little over an hour when I finally woke up. I had cried so much that my eyes were completely swollen. It was hard to even open them. What happened? Silly girl. You cried so hard you wore your eyes out. Rita said, handing me a warm towel. Thanks. Auntie, I took the towel and covered my eyes with it. Completely embarrassed. I had cried in front of so many people, and even cried myself to sleep. I was sure Joel thought I was ridiculous, and Aunt Rita probably found it all laughable. All because of Elias. That scumbag. And now here I was, a total mess. God, how humiliating. All right. Stop smothering yourself. Rita grumbled as she gently pulled the towel off my face. Lie back. I'll do another warm compress, she said, easing me down again. I lay obediently, closed my eyes, and let out a soft sigh when the warmth touched my face again. You've been through so much and never said a word. Poor girl, traveling all the way from a city to here alone. You must have been hurt bad. But Roma, the hard days are behind you. Sure, this place isn't as wealthy as a city, but the people here are warm and kind. They'll treat you well. That boiled chicken might be pale and proper, but he's so skinny he doesn't look like he could father a child. But look at our Joel, strong, reliable, a real worker. That's the kind of man who raises sons. Me, was that encouragement or a breeding ad? Roma, you've noticed, haven't you? Joel's you. Why don't you think about giving him a chance? She said suddenly. My face burned like fire, completely flushed. Auntie, don't tease me like that. Do I look like I'm teasing? She said, grabbing my hand and pointing to her serious expression. I was stunned. It took me a long time to even form words. Everyone in the village can see it. Joel's always hanging around you. Don't tell me you haven't noticed. I mean, he's really attentive. It took me a while to come up with the right word. I always thought Joel was a good person. From the first time we met, he'd saved me the cleanest seat on the cart. He told me to rent outside the dorms. He helped me with work. We shared meals. He never let me lift a finger for heavy chores around the yard. Of course, I helped with laundry and small sewing tasks, but it had all felt natural from the start. I'd never really thought about it. Oscar told me today Joel almost beat that bastard Elias to death. If they hadn't stopped him, he really might have done it, Rita said, still shaken. Joel's a good boy. It'd be a damn shame if this ruined his future. Roma, whatever you feel, be clear. If you think he's a good match, try it out. If not, be honest with him. He's turning 23 this new year, out here in the countryside. That's not young anymore. Oscar's the same age. And his kid's already running around the fields. She gave my hand a few pats. I'll step out. Joel will come in soon. You two talk. Here in Province B, men are upright. If you don't like him, he won't push it. You can't make a cow drink if it doesn't want water. Chapter 17. My mind went completely blank. I never imagined Joel could feel that way about me. Joel walked in, saw me zoning out, and looked a little nervous. Joel, I'm such a mess of a person. How could you possibly like someone like me? I asked. Who says you're a mess? Joel looked utterly shocked. You work hard without complaining. You're kind, always smiling. You take care of Granny with patience and care, Roma. I could list your strengths forever. You're also a great cook. And beautiful. Joel's gaze grew more intense. Roma, you're really amazing. The first time we met and you called me uncle, I thought you were interesting. Later, when I saw how good you were to Granny, I knew you were someone kind-hearted. Roma, I'm not good with words, but I want to be with you, with marriage in mind. If you're willing, let's try it. If not, it's okay. We'll stay the same. After saying that, he looked away, a little embarrassed. The room fell silent, and I didn't know why, but my heart ached so badly. I had never known that things like working hard, smiling, cooking well, and being thoughtful could be strengths. I truly didn't know I had anything good in me. In my last life, for 5 years, all I ever heard was, "Why are you so slow? This is awful. You can't even do something this simple right." I covered my mouth so I wouldn't sob, but Joel noticed. He looked up. Roma, don't cry, it's okay. If you don't like me, it's fine. You're such a good person. You'll definitely find someone who loves you, and who you love, too. Joel. I threw my arms around him. Joel stood there frozen. What, just bloomed? Is this spring? After a long moment, I calmed down and quickly let go, wiping my tears. I want to, I said softly. Joel broke into a huge grin. Roma, I'll treat you so well. All my money will be yours. And whatever happens at home, you call the shots. His joy was infectious, and I started laughing too. It felt so good to feel this kind of happiness. Years later, I'd look back at how we started. Joel, back then, had torn clothes, a dirty face, and scruffy stubble. He looked older than he was, and I never judged him for it, only felt respect for how hard he worked. That's why I called him uncle so sweetly that first time. I didn't want to make him feel small, and it was that respect that led to everything that followed. That evening, we had dinner at Granny Lou's. As a freshly minted couple, we were too shy to speak. Granny couldn't stand it, gave each of us a nudge with her chopsticks, and then we started eating like a happy pair. Later, Granny found out everything I'd gone through. She wiped her tears in secret. Just thinking about how I'd had my legs broken and jumped into the sea, it tore at her heart. She even thought about digging up her old homemade pistol. If she could find it, she'd shoot Elias herself. The next day, Elias came looking for me again. He brought gifts and headed straight to Granny Lou's house. Joel and I were in the kitchen, making breakfast. We were talking about heading to town to buy more winter clothes. Granny was in the courtyard. She saw Elias first. Granny Lou, I'm here to see Roma. Oh, great, she said. She turned into the kitchen, grabbed a cleaver, and ran back out. Joel and I were completely stunned and rushed out after her. Granny Lou! Grandma! You little bastard! You've got the nerve to show your face again? I'll chop you to pieces. Chapter 18. Elias never expected that a bent-over old granny would come at him with a kitchen knife. He dodged in a panic. Granny, I'm not a bad guy. I'm here to see Roma. Why are you looking for my granddaughter-in-law? You pretty boy. Ungrateful brat. Piece of trash. Granny Lou cursed while swinging the knife at him. Every swing was full of force. If Elias had been a second slower, today next year would be the anniversary of his death. You. Elias dodged in a mess, the things in his hands scattering all over the ground. Joel and I worked together to finally snatch the knife from Granny Lou's hands. Granny, I already beat him up yesterday. Calm down. No need to use a butcher's blade to kill a pig, Let me do it. Joel shoved the knife into my hands and went straight at Elias with his fists. Roma, don't kill him. I quickly reminded him. Don't kill him. Elias looked at me in utter shock. Back then, if he even got a paper cut, I'd feel bad for days. And now, I just stood there and watched someone else beat him up. The only thing I said was, don't kill him. Elias knew that even that don't kill wasn't for his sake. But so this guy wouldn't be held responsible. Got it, Joel replied while still throwing punches. No matter how busy he is, when his girl speaks, he always responds. That's Joel's principle. Yep, just made it. This time, Joel didn't hit too hard. After a few punches, he tossed Elias aside. Elias struggled for a while before finally managing to stand up. He leaned against a tree, looking at me. At that moment, I was comforting Granny Lou and casually checking if Joel was hurt. I didn't even glance at Elias. Elias didn't know why, but he suddenly remembered our past life. The time Madame Lou hit me. What was he doing back then? Right, he was busy soothing his mother's feelings. He'd lived with her for over 20 years. She had always been gentle. He couldn't believe she would trouble me for no reason. He thought it had to be my fault. After all, I came from the rural countryside and didn't understand the house rules. Even in that era, Madame Lou had her own standards, and those were the standards Elias was used to. He didn't want his mother to keep making things hard for me, so he did his best to calm her down, just like I was now calming Granny Lou. I didn't look at him, just like he didn't look at me back then. So this is how it feels, being hurt and then ignored. It's unbearable. Elias's eyes stung. Some things, you only understand once you've been through them yourself. These past few days, memories of our past life have been coming back more clearly. Every single one is like a slap in the face. Turns out, he was the shameless one. He was the one who gained the most. He was the executioner behind my past life's tragedy. What he thought was good for me was really just pouring salt in my wounds. Joel, take Granny Lou back to the room first. I want to talk to him for a bit, I said after thinking for a moment. If Elias kept clinging on, my peaceful life would surely be ruined. Joel's lips moved like he wanted to say something, but Granny Lou tugged him away. What are you looking at? Your girl knows what she's doing. Joel's face turned red. Granny, she's not my girl yet. We're just dating right now. Granny Lou gave him a look of disdain. Then work harder if you know she's not your wife yet. Got it. Chapter 19. Elias wiped his teary eyes as he watched me walk up to him. Elias, there's no need for this, I said calmly, with a voice as steady as still water. I made it clear, whatever there was between us, it's gone, and there's no bringing it back. No, Roma, please let me talk. Just let me finish. Elias cut in desperately. I crossed my arms and lifted my chin slightly, eyes fixed on him. It was the exact stance Rita always took before a verbal showdown. Go on, Roma. I know I was wrong. I never should have neglected you. The truth is, I liked you from the beginning, but I was too full of pride. And the engagement, Grandpa forced me into it. I held a grudge. I tried to act like I didn't like you. Like pushing you away was my rebellion against Grandpa. I regret it now. Roma, it wasn't until I lost you that I realized how absurdly wrong I was. It was never you who needed me. It was me who needed you. My whole family needed you. Without you, our house fell apart. Later, even my mom and my sister started missing the days when you were around. Roma, I don't know why the heavens gave us a second chance in this life, but I don't want to mess it up again. I swear I'll treat you right this time. I've already cut ties with Luna. She'll never show up in our home again. She'll never be near me again. Let's get married as soon as we go back. We won't live with my family. Didn't you always say you wanted a home with just the two of us? After we get married, let's have a kid, boy or girl. It doesn't matter. We'll raise them together. Love them together. Roma, I'm begging you, please don't leave me. As Elias spoke, tears poured down his face. I looked at him with the same cold gaze. If this had been any day during the 5 years of our past life, hearing him say these things would have made me sob and nod without hesitation. But love, it expires. A heart that's been shattered. Feelings that have gone cold, no apology can bring them back. After I died, what your whole family missed was that dumb girl who always thought of you all and gave everything without thinking twice. My voice was laced with irony. Elias, I don't regret all I did for you in our past life. I truly loved you. I hoped for you to love me back. But your constant indifference and neglect wore out every last bit of that love. Elias. Whether it's my parents dying because of your grandfather, or all I gave to your family, when you add it all up, it's your family who owes me. So I'm cashing in on that debt, for you to leave me alone. That's not too much to ask, is it? I meant every word. That debt was a matter of life and death. No request could be too much. Tears streamed uncontrollably from Elias's eyes. Roma, I want to make it up to you. I want to. I just stared at him, until he couldn't say another word. He knew I didn't want his compensation. He knew his presence brought me nothing but pain. But what was he supposed to do? How could he face a future without me in it? Roma. Elias looked at me deeply after a long silence. His voice trembled as he spoke. Roma. I promise. I'll go back now. I won't come looking for you again. I wish you happiness. Remember what you said. I replied, and turned around without another glance. I still had errands to run with my boyfriend. Elias watched me leave without looking back and couldn't stop himself from breaking down in sobs. Chapter 20. Big guy like him, crying like a baby. Pathetic. Word is, he was the one who threw our comrade's song to the kidnappers. What a worthless piece of trash. A man who uses a woman as a shield, can you even call that a man? Poor comrade's song. Her parents saved his grandpa's life, and now their family bullies her like this. He's worse than an animal. Exactly. Even if you're not putting her on a pedestal, at least treat her decently. Look at how his family treats her. It's disgusting. And he still has the audacity to ask her to marry him? Dream on. You all heard? Comrade Song is dating Joel now. Really? That's great. Joel's an officer in the army. Some kind of commander. If they get married, Comrade Song can join him in the military family quarters. Aunties and older ladies gathered around, each chiming in with their opinions. Elias didn't even know how he managed to walk out of Red Star Village. One thought consumed him. His Roma was going to marry someone else. Rita watched everyone tearing into Elias and felt utterly satisfied seeing his regret. Serves him right. You reap what you sow. At Grandma Lou's house. Granny Lou. Roma and I still need to go shopping. Go ahead. If you get everything today. The weather looks good for the next few days. You two can head up the mountain and see if there are any wild greens. We'll pickle some to eat over the winter, said Grandma Lou. Got it, Joel replied, seeing the sparkle in my eyes. He could tell I was excited to head up the mountain. I got dressed, put the shopping list in my backpack, and hopped back onto the bicycle. All right, let's go. Hold on tight, Joel reminded me. Still newly official as a couple, we were both a little awkward. After hesitating, I reached out and wrapped my arms around Joel's waist. His body tensed up, and the bike wobbled a little, almost landed us in the ditch. I chuckled softly. Joel laughed too, steadied himself, held onto the handlebar with one hand, and gently squeezed my hand with the other. A girl's hand really is something else. So soft. No more farm work for her, not even with gloves. These hands deserve to be pampered. Joel felt like his heart was overflowing. How wonderful it would be to get married right now. He was determined to work hard, make money, and spoil his wife. Whatever she wanted, she'd have. I had no idea what Joel was thinking. I just knew my hand felt so warm, so nice. This kind of warmth, I'd never felt it before. I didn't know why, but my calm heart suddenly started pounding wildly. We didn't say a word. We were both soaking in the beauty of that warmth. My smile was gentle and full of happiness. Joel grinned ear to ear. He felt like the luckiest man in the world. No one noticed Elias, sitting on the roadside in humiliation. He had walked all the way out of Red Star Village. No ox cart would take him. Oscar's dad, who drove one, said the ox was not in the mood to work today, so no ride. Elias had no choice but to walk to town for the bus. He watched helplessly as Joel and I rode past him, watched me smiling like I was the happiest woman alive. Why did it feel like his heart was being torn to shreds? Chapter 21. Joel didn't take me to the cooperativa. He found a place to park and led me into a hidden alleyway. Where are we going? I asked. There isn't much at the cooperativa. I'm taking you to check out the black market, Joel said in a low voice. My eyes lit up. The black market, I'd heard of it in my past life. Always something you had to visit in secret. Back then, Elias once told me to get ready because he was taking me there to buy some things. But just before we left, Luna showed up, saying she'd never been before. So Elias dropped me without a second thought. I lowered my eyes and smiled bitterly. I wasn't trying to compare the past with the present. But when things happen, it's hard not to remember. Roma, don't be scared. It's nothing. Really, people at the black market are even more cautious than us. They've got way more stuff than the cooperativa. If you see something you like, we'll get it. No coupons or anything. I brought a lot of money, Joel said when I didn't reply. He gave my hand a gentle squeeze, whispering reassurances. I raised an eyebrow and smiled. Okay, Joel. Joel's heart suddenly skipped a beat hearing my sweet voice like that. The black market. It was pretty crowded at this hour. My eyes sparkled when I saw someone selling yarn. Joel had been watching me the whole time. The moment he saw me staring at the yarn, he stepped forward and grabbed 2 skeins of red. Joel, get 2 gray ones too. I can knit sweaters, I said, completely unbothered. I had money, too. If Joel bought me yarn, I'd buy him something else. I wanted to spend the rest of my life with him, slowly breaking down the walls between us. Bit by bit. Got it. Joel grinned as he happily picked up 2 more skeins of gray yarn. Granny Lou wears cotton-padded clothes. Let's buy some extra cotton and make her a new set when we get back, I said, scanning the stalls. Soon enough, I found someone selling raw cotton. Whatever you say. Joel followed along cheerfully. No matter what I wanted to buy, it was always got it. Sure, or you decide. I felt a kind of contentment I had never experienced before. The joy I felt was beyond words. Even after we left the black market, I couldn't stop smiling. You're really this happy? Joel smiled. Seeing my happiness made him happy too. Yeah, I like freedom, I said, looking sweetly at him. Joel's heart thudded in his chest. Well, that's good. Silly. I laughed at how cute he looked. We happily made our way back to the car and started heading home to the village. Just as luck would have it, on the road back, we ran into Elias at the bus station. He felt like something about me had changed. It was just a shopping trip. How could I look so different? Elias couldn't figure it out, but his mind drifted back to the time he once told me we were going to the black market. I'd actually seemed excited and asked him a bunch of questions. He remembered answering me patiently, telling me to make a list, even promising to take me to a couple of extra places. He remembered me smiling brightly, too, not as radiant as now. But still, Elias froze. His memory dragged up what happened next. Luna had shown up, insisting she wanted to go too. He hadn't had a choice. He told me to stay behind and took Luna instead. I just stood there, dumbly, in front of the door, watching them joke and laugh as they walked away. What had I felt back then? Was it the same as what he felt now, watching us slowly disappear into the distance? Chapter 22. At Granny Lou's house. She watched Joel and me laughing and chatting as we came in, and she seemed to be in a pretty good mood. What did you buy? Granny, we bought so much stuff. I pulled her into her room and laid everything out to show her. Joel stood to the side, smiling like a fool. What are you grinning at? Silly boy? Go roll the yarn into balls. You two do it in the main room. This old lady's going to bed. Granny Lou chuckled. During the off-season, most families here only ate 2 meals a day, one around 8 or 9 in the morning and the other at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Skipping a meal saved a good amount of rations. I followed local customs. Joel was worried I'd go hungry, so he packed a whole box of snacks, big biscuits, sponge cakes, instant tea powder, all sorts of things. Back when he hadn't confessed his feelings, I just thought Joel was incredibly thoughtful. Now that I look back, he'd been planning this all along. I went to my room, grabbed 2 big biscuits, gave one to Joel, and split the other in half for me, half for Granny Lou. She tried to decline, but I shoved it in her hand and dashed out. Joel looked at the biscuit in his hand, feeling a swirl of emotions. He was so used to being the one who gave. What are you looking at? Eat up. You still have to build me a yarn rack after, I urged. Got it, Joel responded, taking a big bite, sneaking glances at me as he chewed. His girl's rosy cheeks were just too pretty. We chatted while working and soon finished winding the yarn. I tapped my waist lightly. Joel instinctively reached out and gave it a gentle rub, and we both froze. Joel's hand was still on my arm. We were standing so close, close enough for him to see my eyelashes trembling, and I could hear his heartbeat. Strong and loud. You. I'm fine. I'm fine. I burst out laughing. Joel laughed too. The space between us seemed to shrink again. After dinner, it wasn't quite dark yet. Joel didn't want to go home. His house was right next door, but he lived alone. We lingered, attached at the hip, until it was fully dark. Then he went home by hopping over the wall. The next morning after breakfast, I packed some dry food and water, slung a bamboo basket over my back, and went up the mountain with Joel. He carried a basket too. Today he wasn't chopping wood, he was sticking with me to forage for wild fruits and vegetables. If we stumbled across a rabbit nest, we'd take one back for a treat. Along the way, we ran into a lot of villagers. Everyone greeted us warmly. Joel, taking the missus up the mountain. Huh? Joel, bringing your wife to pick fruit. Every greeting was about the same, and every single one called me his wife. I was a bit embarrassed. It really did seem like things were moving fast between us. But I didn't mind it. We didn't head down the mountain until after 3 in the afternoon. I had carried an empty basket up, but on the way down, Joel had one slung in front and another on his back, both stuffed full. In my hands, I held a bunch of ripe mountain grapes. It felt so nice to be cherished like this. I don't know what came over me, but all of a sudden, I reached out and took Joel's hand. His palm was wide and warm. As soon as I realized what I was doing, I tried to pull away, but Joel grabbed my hand and held on tight. Blushing, I didn't struggle anymore. We only let go when we ran into someone on the path. After letting go, we both let out quiet sighs, so nervous, and then broke into soft laughter at the same time. This feeling of love, so sweet and tender. Chapter 23. Just as we returned to the village, Oscar's wife came running up to us. Roma, hurry! Granny Lou's nephew and his whole family are making a scene, she said anxiously. Take your time walking, Joel told me quickly, then dashed off toward Granny Lou's house. I hurried after him. At Granny Lou's place, the courtyard was full, 7 or 8 people from another village. Men and women, young and old. Granny Lou was so shaken she could barely stand. Rita was holding her up, and behind them stood a few of the village aunties and their sons, there to show support. At the front of the crowd stood 2 young men. Auntie, don't be so stubborn. My brother and I are your real nephews, we're blood. Now, we're asking for your money and your house. In return, we'll take care of you in your old age. That's right. Auntie, you won't give us money. Won't give us the house. What are you even thinking? Sister, don't be foolish. No one's more reliable than family, said an old man with gray hair, wobbling on his feet, supported by others. Exactly. Old woman Lou. At your age, what are you doing living alone out here instead of going home with your nephews? You're making yourself look bad, and it's not a good look for the family. The Lou family's side all started chiming in, trying to persuade her. You all. Granny Lou's whole body was shaking with rage. I didn't live in your house. Who do you think raised Jordan Lou and Mario's Lou kids? And when they grew up, how did you treat me? You wouldn't even let me eat enough. If it weren't for the money and the house my husband left me, I would have been tortured to death by now. Tears streamed down Granny Lou's face. The hatred in her eyes was real. She resented every one of these people. Back when her husband was alive, he used to help out her side of the family alongside her. After he passed, her nephews took her in under the pretense of keeping the family together, saying she'd always have her family to rely on. She was moved by that. She worked like a mule at their place, cooking, cleaning, farming, raising the kids, even harder than in her own home. But she thought, one day, when she was old, they'd surely remember all her kindness. And then what? As soon as she wasn't so capable anymore, they changed faces in a heartbeat. Auntie, I know I was wrong before. Please don't hold it against us. I heard you saved up a lot of grain this winter. Even if you won't come home with us, you should at least give us the grain. Your grandnephews are still little, you know, said Jordan's wife. That's right. Auntie, we're family, you're really going to let us starve? Added Mario Lu's wife. You people are shameless, Rita snapped, ready to curse them out. But Granny Lu stopped her. I bought that grain with my own money. I dare any of you to try and take it, came Joel's cold voice. He shoved his way through the crowd, pushed some of Lu's people back, hard, and several of them stumbled a few steps. Facing the tall and intimidating Joel, no one dared say a word. Granny, are you okay? Joel asked, worried. You look pale. Granny Lu wiped her tears. Not one word of concern from her own brother, her nephews, or their wives, even though she looked like she could barely stay on her feet. All they cared about was her house, her money, and her grain. Who gave them the right? When's the village chief getting here? Granny Lu asked Rita. They already went to get him, Rita replied quickly, rubbing her back to comfort her. Joel set his basket down, went inside, and brought out a chair for Granny Lu to sit on. Today, none of you are leaving, he said firmly. We've sent for our village chief, your village chief, and the police. This ends here, and it ends with the truth. Chapter 24. You, Joel, this is a Lu family matter. Even if you're a soldier, you can't interfere in our family affairs. Jordan finally squeezed out the words after a long silence. Family affairs? Granny Lu is a villager of Red Star Village. If someone in our village is being harassed, then we have the responsibility to protect her. We didn't, Jordan stammered, unable to find a good excuse. Truth was, they had heard Granny Lu had a lot of grain saved for the winter and rushed over in a greedy panic. Now, the villagers of Red Star had seen everything, and without even asking who was who, they all stood firmly behind Granny Lu. The Lu relatives hadn't even been allowed inside. By the time I arrived, out of breath and panting, Joel had already taken control of the situation. The Lu family didn't dare raise their voices. They wanted to leave, but the Red Star villagers blocked their way. Every one of them stood there with their heads down in shame. Joel saw me run up, pale and panting, and immediately frowned, reaching out to steady my arm. Didn't I tell you to take it slow? I couldn't. I was worried about Granny. Rita came out with a bowl of warm water. Here, drink this. Catch your breath. Thank you, Auntie. I downed the whole bowl in one go before my breathing finally evened out. Then the village chiefs from both sides and the police arrived. Hello, Captain Lee. The officers greeted Joel immediately. I looked at Joel, surprised. I had always thought he was just a farmer. Turns out, he was a captain? Director Lu. Joel nodded, greeting the police chief and briefly explaining the situation. Both village leaders backed him up, confirming everything. Granny was worked to the bone when she lived with the Lu family. Once she got old, they started mistreating her. She couldn't take it anymore and came back to Red Star. Her money and house were given by her husband's side. They've got nothing to do with the Lu family. Joel summarized. Exactly. Granny Lu stood up. Since everyone's here, I'm going to make my wishes clear right now. Make her wishes, a phrase that meant deciding matters for after one's passing. Auntie, we're your blood relatives, Jordan said urgently. Think of your grandnephews, Mario Lu added, no longer caring that others were around. Granny Lu gave them a scornful glare. I, Miriam Lu, have done right by every single one of you in the Lu family. You've been feeding off me for years, isn't that enough? And now you're eyeing the things my husband left me? In your dreams, she shouted, full of fury. There's no one left from your husband's family. If you don't leave it to us, who else can you give it to? Jordan insisted. My house goes to the village, she shouted. She had wanted to give it to Joel and me, but she knew, if she did, the Lu family would never stop harassing us. She wouldn't cause us that trouble. I give it for free. The village can do whatever they want with it. House families who have no home. Let the educated youth stay there, anything's fine. She continued. As for my money, I haven't had any in ages. This past year, it's been Joel sending money to the village chief to support me, she said, staring right at the Lu family. And since I'm a Lu by birth, the Lu family owes him that money. Why should we? Jordan's wife blurted out. Because I worked like a mule for you for 10 years. Because I raised your 3 kids. Granny Lu snapped. Jordan's wife wanted to argue again, but Jordan pulled her back. Let the village chiefs and police bear witness and write it all down. I'll sign it, Granny Lu said firmly. The two village leaders exchanged glances, wrote the statement, and signed it. Granny Lu also signed her name. She looked at Joel, wanting to say something, but before the words came, a mouthful of blood sprayed out, and she collapsed to the ground, stiff, unmoving. Granny Lu. Chapter 25. Everyone rushed to carry Granny Lu into her room, hands scrambling to help. The Lu family used the chaos to flee. The house was no longer theirs, and they hadn't gotten any money now that it was clear she was dying. If they stayed, they'd be expected to pay for medical treatment and the coffin, funeral expenses, everything. The village chief hurriedly sent someone to fetch the barefoot doctor. After examining her, the doctor confirmed there was no saving her. He told them to prepare for the funeral. Rita cried in frustration. It's those heartless bastards. If it weren't for them, Auntie wouldn't be like this. I sat at Granny Lu's bedside, holding her hand as my tears fell. Granny, please don't go. I had just begun to feel the warmth of an elder's love. I couldn't bear to lose her so soon. Joel was pacing the room, visibly agitated. After taking a few deep breaths to calm himself, he told the village chief to begin preparing Granny Lu's burial clothes and coffin. Even if times had changed and people no longer held big funerals, Granny Lu deserved a proper one. After a while, she regained consciousness, and somehow, her spirit seemed steadier than before. I know my body. I'm ready to go. It's better this way, she said softly. Auntie, don't say such things, Rita sniffled, wiping away tears. Roma. Joel has had a hard life. His father died before he was even born, and his mother raised him alone. That boy has suffered, but he's kind. You have to treat him well. You hear? Granny Lu's voice trembled. It was the first time I'd heard Joel's story. I hadn't realized his life had been so hard, yet he was still so gentle and good-hearted. I will, Granny. I promised. Rita, give Roma that old box of mine. Don't mind it, it's just a keepsake. Open it after I'm gone, Granny Lu whispered faintly. Rita nodded through tears. Don't worry, Auntie, I'll give it to her. Joel came rushing back in with the funeral clothes. Panting, Granny Lu looked at him and gave a faint smile. Joel, be good to Roma. And with those last words, she closed her eyes forever. Granny Lu. Auntie. The room filled with cries and grief. Even the aunties from the village shed tears. Everyone knew how hard Granny Lu's life had been. What a pity. She'd finally enjoyed a few days of happiness, only to be driven to death by rage. The Lu family, what a bunch of wretches. Joel and I handled everything for her funeral. We were busy for 2 days and lost quite a bit of weight in the process. The village chief and the other cadres had a meeting and decided to let me stay in Granny Lu's house for now. After the new year, they'd figure out what to do with the property. I was still a volunteer, an educated youth sent to the countryside. If the house were reclaimed, I'd have to go back to the cramped volunteers' housing. Roma, Joel said seriously one night, I'll be returning to the army soon. I don't feel at ease leaving you here alone. Would you be willing to come with me, join me on base? Whether it was the crowded and overwhelming volunteers' quarters, or staying behind alone in the countryside, neither option sat right with him. He believed someone like me, a soft-hearted, small figure, should be cared for and protected, and Granny Lu's final wish had been for him to take good care of me. After everything we'd been through, I had already made up my mind. If I'd chosen Joel, then there was no need to hesitate. I looked up and nodded at him. I was willing to follow him, to become a military spouse and begin a new chapter of life by his side. Chapter 26. Joel handled everything swiftly. He first called his unit to explain the situation, then mailed in his marriage application. 1 week later, he received written approval. All the necessary documents were ready. On a sunny day, we went to collect our marriage certificate and had a photo taken to mark the moment. On the way back to Red Star Village, I felt a little dazed. It hadn't been that long, really, but it also felt like a lifetime. 2 lifetimes, even. I wrapped my arms around Joel's waist and rested my head against his back. I felt safe. He reached back to hold my hand. We didn't say a word, but we were warming each other with our presence. Starting today, in this vast world, we both had someone to call family. There were no guests at our wedding, just a table full of food I made myself to celebrate. Joel, I'm counting on you for the rest of my life. I'll love you with my life. I swear I'll never let you go." My eyes turned misty. Me too. That night, I moved into Joel's home, on the warm bed. We held each other tightly. The days that followed were a mix of light farm work and prepping for the long, harsh winter. Winters in the Northeast weren't a joke. Every year, someone froze to death. While the weather still held, Joel organized the young men of the village to help repair homes for the elderly who had no children. I followed the aunties and learned how to pickle vegetables. Life was busy, but full. Before I knew it, a month had passed. The first snow of winter fell. I made a pot of sauerkraut soup, using the last of what Granny Lou had pickled before she passed. Joel came in, covered in wind and snow. "Roma, I have to report back to the unit in a week," he said, brushing snow off his shoulders. "I've been reassigned. I'm being posted to the military district in a city." A city? My eyes lit up. Even though my memories of Elias were painful, a city was still my hometown. My friends were there too. "Yes," Joel replied, catching the brightness in my eyes. He knew the reassignment was no coincidence. Leadership likely considered the fact that his wife was from a city. "Then we should start packing tomorrow. I thought we'd be spending the new year here." I even made a list. I said, "We'll keep enough grain for ourselves. The rest, I'll sell it at the black market." Joel said, "Sounds good." We shared a warm, satisfying meal together. That night, I nestled into Joel's arms, soft and content. "Joel, I got a letter from Auntie Kim a few days ago. She said our tenant moved out. His unit allocated him a new apartment. So let's go to my place when we get back." I said, a little excited. "Okay, I have to report in 10 days. So if we're heading to your place, we need to wrap things up quickly. It's a shame about your pickled vegetables. We can't bring that much," Joel said, genuinely disappointed. His wife's cooking was just that good. "It's fine. We'll give the rest to the aunties. Once we're back, whatever you're craving, I'll make it for you again." My eyes sparkled with joy. Joel responded to every little wish of mine with care and devotion. He did everything he could to make me happy. He was so good to me, so unlike. A stray thought almost rose up, but I pushed it aside. It was such a gentle, tender night. No room for memories of people who didn't deserve to be remembered. I wrapped my arms around Joel's neck and kissed him. Chapter 27. 3 days later, Joel and I had wrapped up everything we could at home and boarded the train bound for a city. The pickled vegetables and other supplies had been shared with the villagers. Joel had sold the leftover grain on the black market for a good price. Now, I was in charge of managing our money. He pulled some strings to get sleeper tickets. His income was enough to ensure we lived comfortably. Any suffering that could be avoided, he made sure we avoided. 2 days later, we arrived at my old home. Auntie Kim had already cleaned the entire house inside and out. Knowing I was bringing my husband home, Joel had a massive pack on his back, and was carrying 2 more in each hand. I, meanwhile, had only a small bag in my arms. Auntie Kim looked on, full of warmth. "Roma, your man really knows how to take care of you." "Auntie Kim," I greeted her. "Hello, Auntie Kim. Thank you for helping keep an eye on Lou's house," Joel said with a cheerful smile. "Oh, it was nothing. Neighbors help neighbors. Now go on. You too. Get inside and rest," she urged us, ushering us through the door. Joel nodded and followed me in. I couldn't help feeling emotional. I never thought I'd return, and certainly not this soon. While Joel unpacked, I wandered around the front and back of the house. In the backyard, beneath the tree, I buried the rosewood box Granny Lou had given me. I had opened it. Inside were 10 little gold bars and some jade jewelry, clearly worth a fortune. But right now, they were nothing but trouble, like ticking time bombs. Better to hide them for now. Maybe someday, we'd truly be free. We spent the entire afternoon cleaning and organizing. By the end, the place finally looked like a real home. "Don't cook tonight," I said brightly. "Let's eat out. The food around here tends to be sweet. Try it out. And if you don't like it, we'll cook at home from now on." Joel glanced at someone quickly dodging around the corner, Elias, and his lips curved into a cold, mocking smile. "All right, whatever you say." In a few days, You'll come with me to report in at the military district. They've already arranged housing for me there, a courtyard house. We'll live there most of the time. If you ever want to come back here on holiday, we can." I nodded. When I spoke to Joel, my voice was light and my eyes sparkled with joy. Even strangers could tell I was genuinely happy. Elias stumbled back home in a daze. "Elias!" Luna jumped up to greet him. Lou's little sister stood nearby, full of resentment. "Where did you go?" I was left to take care of Grandpa Lou and Mom by myself. Luna came over and didn't lift a finger. She shot Luna a disgusted look. Luna put on her usual pitiful act. "Elias, I just came to see you. I don't know why your sister is so upset. I didn't mean anything. What she really meant was, I'm not your wife. Why should I be serving your family?" "Luna, I don't have time. There's too much going on at home. If it's not important, don't come over again," Elias said bluntly, giving her the boot. "What do you mean you don't have time? You were clearly outside Roma Song's house. Watching. What were you even looking at? That woman's been gone for so long, you think she's coming back?" Luna snapped, furious. "Luna, are you insane? Stop yelling in our house." Lou's sister exploded. "My brother doesn't even like you. Get out already, unless you want to be dragged out." She shoved Luna toward the door. Elias looked around at the chaotic home, his short-tempered sister, his fake and clingy childhood friend, and finally understood just how good I'd been to him. Back then, the house had always been spotless. His grandfather's clothes, his mother's hair, clean, neat, cared for. Meals were delicious, always ready on time, and I had done it all alone. How had I managed to do it all so well? Chapter 28. 5 days later, I followed Joel to the military family compound. Our little courtyard wasn't big, a small patch of land with a clothesline out front, and a modest vegetable garden in the back. The house itself had 2 bedrooms and a main hall. It wasn't spacious, but it was more than enough for the 2 of us, and someday, for a child too. Joel went to handle his official onboarding, and I stayed behind to organize the house. By the time he returned, I had cleaned everything top to bottom, and even made the bed. "There's no bed in the house," I said as I added another log into the stove. "Winters might be a bit cold. If you feel cold, I'll build a bed in here on my next day off." "I know how to do it," Joel replied. "You're amazing. Is there anything you can't do?" My eyes lit up. I really loved calm beds, pile on the firewood and the warmth just wrapped around you. Even falling asleep felt cozier. Joel reached out and gently pinched my cheek. We locked eyes, and all I saw was warmth. Life with Joel, it was vibrant and full of love. In a blink, 3 months passed since our return. The new year was approaching. One morning, while I was cooking, a sudden wave of nausea hit me. I bolted outside and spent several minutes retching. "Roma, what's wrong?" Joel panicked, rushing over as if he'd carry me straight to the hospital. I grabbed his arm and stopped him. "Comrade Joel," I called softly. "Yes?" He looked at me, face full of worry. I smiled brightly, eyes glistening. "Congratulations, you're going to be a dad." "What?" Joel froze, then snapped out of it and threw his arms around me. "Roma, really?" I nodded shyly. Cheeks flushed. My period hadn't come, so I got checked out. Turns out, I was pregnant. Joel had returned late from a mission the night before. I was already asleep by then. Tears welled up in his eyes from pure joy. "Roma, we're having a baby." Thank you so much." I understood how deep his emotions ran. I wrapped my arms around him. "You're welcome." We shared a warm, happy breakfast. Joel immediately reported the news to his superiors. Upon learning that we had no elders to help, they agreed not to assign him to any external deployments for the time being. It was the weekend again. We went back to my place to visit. Auntie Kim had been thinking about me a lot. I wanted to tell her the news about the pregnancy. But just as we were about to enter the courtyard, Luna Rin came storming over. Lifting her hand to slap me, Joel pulled me behind him and stepped back several paces to shield me. "What are you doing? Why did you come back? If it weren't for you, Brother Elias wouldn't be ignoring me. Why didn't you just die in Province B?" Luna screamed hysterically. I stared at her, stunned. Was this really the same Luna who, in my past life, was always elegant, poised, and in control. She looked more like a raving shrew now. I don't hit women, Joel said coldly, but I'll make an exception for you. He looked like he was about to act. I grabbed his arm quickly. Don't. She's not worth it. Getting into a fight with a shrew, no matter who wins. We lose. Let's go home, I said calmly. My light, unfazed attitude made Luna go berserk. She and Elias were the perfect match, so why had Elias fallen for me? That worthless tramp? No. She wouldn't accept this. She had to make me pay. She would, no matter what. Chapter 29. The next morning, several officers showed up at our home. I looked at them, confused. I had no idea why they were looking for me. Comrade Song. Comrade Luna has been kidnapped. The kidnapper is an enemy of Elias. They're demanding to exchange Luna for you. No. Joel's face went cold as he stepped forward, presenting his military ID. My wife is pregnant. I won't allow her to be in danger for anyone. Joel hadn't been at the A City Military District for long, but he had already completed a high-risk mission and earned major commendations. He was now a deputy regiment commander. Deputy Commander Han. We're not asking Comrade Song to actually exchange herself. We just hoped she could cooperate with us in some way, the officer tried to explain. She won't. I don't care about Luna's life or death. My wife and child are not to be endangered. Joel's refusal was firm and final. Naturally, the officers didn't dare say something shameless like military spouses should make selfless sacrifices. They simply apologized and left. But that evening, they returned. Joel's expression darkened. What now? Deputy Commander Han. It's a misunderstanding. We just came to report the details of Luna's kidnapping. One of them quickly explained. Joel was about to speak again, clearly uninterested. When I stepped out, was she rescued? The kidnapper was someone Luna contacted herself. The kidnapping was staged. It's all fake. She and the fake kidnapper have been taken into custody. They said, fake? In my previous life, Luna had used a fake kidnapping to get rid of me? I found it all laughable now, after learning the kidnapping wasn't real. Comrade Lu, he suffered a mental breakdown and jumped off a cliff. The officer added, tone heavy. They pulled him out of the water, but the doctor said he doesn't have much time left. Elias. They thought it was a pity. He was young, handsome, and reportedly had a promising career. But now, the Lu family was a mess. Lu's mother had passed from the shock. His grandfather was barely hanging on. And the younger sister, she just cried. Helpless. Only thanks to Elias's work unit and the local women's federation had they been able to manage anything at all. Comrade Song. Comrade Lu wants to see you. Of course. It's voluntary. If you don't want to go, you don't have to, the officer said, hesitating. They wouldn't normally pass on a message like this. But, when Elias had jumped, he was still shouting that he was sorry to Roma. Joel frowned and looked at me. I shook my head. I'm really not close to him, and I'm pregnant. I can't run to the hospital. I won't go. The officer nodded, understanding, and brought the message back to Elias in the hospital. Elias laughed and cried at once, finally letting out a long sigh. I hurt her so much. Of course she won't come. Please. At least pass on this letter. Tell her she must read it. It concerns something big. All right, I'll make one more trip, the officer promised. Elias watched the officer's back as he left and slowly closed his eyes. Roma, this is the only thing I can do for you now. If there's a next life, I hope we never meet again. Me, thank you. In the end, I did read the letter. Inside, it listed the date of the upcoming college entrance exam resumption, and mentioned the coming economic reforms. I didn't fully understand all of it yet, but I remembered the important parts. So the future really was bright after all. I burned the letter and let out a quiet breath. The future, for our family of 3, will be full of happiness.